The new League of Legends season comes up with 11 new items to the game, and out of those, 3 of them are for mages. And in today's video I'll talk about literally everything you need to know about them. The first item is the Actualizer, and its main purpose is to empower your abilities upon activation for a short period of time at the cost of extra mana. Design-wise, the Actualizer seems to be a potion contained within an hourglass-shaped flask surrounded by some interesting yellow gears, and according to the lead concept artist at Riot Games, this item was envisioned as something Zilean might house in his floating wizard tower. Given its design and lore, the Actualizer is almost certainly one of Zilean's own inventions. Now, when it comes to gameplay, the Actualizer costs 3100 gold and it's crafted with a blasting wand and a lost chapter. Once purchased, it gives 90 ability power, 300 mana and 10 ability haste. In terms of gold efficiency, it has a solid negative value of 83%. However, what it still makes it a viable option is its active. It's called Mana Made Real, it has a 60 seconds cooldown, and once activated, your ability's mana costs are doubled for 8 seconds. But you gain 15% increased damage, healing and shielding, plus a 30% basic ability cooldown. This is not the first time we see it in the game, as there is an augment from Arena that works exactly the same as the Actualizer's active. And despite them both doing the same thing, this item still exists in Arena, so you can basically double the effect there. Ornn can also upgrade the item to its Masterwork version, granting an additional 25 ability power and 16 ability haste. When it comes to usage, there's no data available yet, but I expect it to have a peak rate of around 20%. And the reason I don't expect it to have a higher peak rate is because its active has a downside, and that might be unpleasant or even useless to a lot of champions. But when should you buy it? Well, despite being a lost chapter item, you shouldn't prioritize building it first. It has an active, not a passive, and building it early can do more harm than good. It also scales with mana, so it's best to build it later after you've already got some mana items to maximize the power of its active. And speaking of active, the best time to use it is right before going into an all-in burst combo, as that's when you'd benefit the most from the extra damage and cooldown on the abilities. Just make sure you have enough mana before committing to it, as double consumption can be tough. If you're on the other team and want to counter the Actualizer, all you have to do is to avoid fighting while it's active. Your fighting window should be when the item is on cooldown, as they'll basically have one less passive in their inventory. The next new item coming in this patch is Dusk and Dawn, and its main purpose is to improve the on-hit attack on fighter mages. This item was actually supposed to be released during Season 14 when the Black Torch came out, but it was not finished and it was improved and delayed until now. Looking at the item's design, there's a purple dagger and a yellow wand on a color-mixed background. The lead concept artist at Riot Games said in a tweet that there's no specific lore behind the item. It can either be Lunari and Solari, Kayle and Morgana, Light and Dark, or just all of them at once. Gameplay-wise, Dusk and Dawn sits at a standard 3100 gold, but what makes it weird is its unusual build path. It's crafted with a sheen, a blasting wand, a kindle gem and a dagger. This is the most random recipe I've ever seen in League, and it's probably going to be changed in the future. Once bought, it gives 300 health, 70 ability power, 20 ability haste and 25% attack speed. And with all of those stats, it naturally sits at a positive gold value of 120%. On top of that, it also comes with a Spellblade passive, but with some notable upgrades. After casting an ability, the next attack deals 75 bonus magic damage, scaling with AD and AP. And as a bonus, it doubles the on-hit effect damage, creating some interesting interactions with champions that have it in their kit. The passive has a 1.5 seconds cooldown, and when it's active, your hands turn different colors. Ornn can upgrade Dusk and Dawn in its Masterwork variant, gaining 90 HP, 12 AP, 8 ability haste and 8% attack speed. And like every single new item, there's no data available to see its peak rate, but considering its stats and the item components, I expect it to be quite popular among fighter mages like Diana, Gwen and even Mordekaiser. Should you even buy it, and if so, when? Well, like I said earlier, it works really well with AP bruisers, especially on champions that have some sort of on-hit effect in their kit. For example, Diana can proc her passive twice with this item, and honestly I don't see a universe where AP bruisers wouldn't want to pick this item. It's simply too powerful as it is today. One thing you should definitely not do is to build it on Ezreal, and not because it's not a good option, but because everyone will hate you. And if you're playing against someone with Dusk and Dawn, interrupting the Spellblade passive with crowd control is the easiest way to counter it. However, you can also build defensive items with magic resist, as its main damage comes from ability power. This will help you negate burst damage and stay alive for a potential counterattack. And the last mage item coming up with this update is actually a returning one, the Hextech Gunblade. It's an assassin item, and what it does is it shocks the target enemy with a lightning bolt, slowing and dealing damage to them. It was originally added in 2010 and it pretty much did the same thing as it does today. In 2020 it was removed and later re-added exclusively for temporary game modes. Design-wise, it's literally a green gun with a blade. It's not a story-rich item, but from the name we know that it's an Hextech item, which is most likely a product of Piltover's fusion of magic and technology. When it comes to gameplay, it costs 3000 gold and it's crafted with a Vampiring Scepter, an Hextech Alternator and an Amplifying Tome. Once purchased, it gives 80 ability power, 40 attack damage and 10% Omnivamp, with a positive gold value of 110%. However, the most important thing about this item is its active, Lightning Bolt. It shocks the target enemy, dealing 175 magic damage, scaling with level and ability power, and also slows them by 25% for 1.5 seconds. It used to have much lower cooldown and the slow was more powerful, but that was also the reason it was removed from the game in the first place. Now it should feel a bit more balanced with a 60 seconds cooldown, but also satisfying to play with on assassins like Akali and Katarina. It can also be upgraded by Ornn in its Masterwork version, giving it 25 extra ability power and 14 attack damage. In Arena, the active has a 30 seconds cooldown instead of 60. In terms of usage, Gunblade was mainly used by a few specific champions, but overall its pick rate was relatively low. I expect it to stay the same, especially since the stats are now more balanced than they used to be. But when should you even buy it? Well, it's a good fit for champions who scale with both AD and AP, such as Katarina, Akali, Kayle and Jax. Its sustain and burst are a perfect mix for this kind of champions, allowing them to deal a ton of damage in a short period of time and survive longer fights with the Omnivamp's help. It's also a good choice whenever you feel like you lack CC. The active slow effect provides valuable crowd control, offering a good way of preventing the enemy from escaping. And in case you play against someone who has the Hextech Gunblade, an easy way to counter it is to engage in a fight while their active is on cooldown. But if that's not enough, you could also build some anti-heal to counter the Omnivamp. And with that being said, this is all about the new mage items coming in patch 26.1. I hope you found this video useful, and if you want to learn more about the new items, click here.